Hey you guys, check out this view. Good morning you guys. I was not going to do coffee with Shanda this morning because I'm out with my family in La Jolla Beach having a nice time here for my birthday, but I decided to jump on anyway. It's a little dark, I'm sorry, I'm just outside. Can you see me? Awesome. So yeah, I'm here in La Jolla Beach. I literally was just crawled out of bed being with my husband and my little son. And I wasn't going to do coffee with Shanda, but I decided that, you know what, we're up anyway, we're running around, so I'm going to do coffee with Shanda. So good morning! Hi you guys, hi Tiffany, how are you? Hi Katya, thank you. It was my birthday yesterday, it was so much fun. Look at the surfers out there, can you see them? There's a paddleboarder surfing a wave. So yeah, so I was thinking about this morning, I was thinking about dreaming. Hi Alex, how are you? I was thinking about dreaming this morning. I was thinking about, we're staying in this amazing house, Alex and Carl, the patio of the house. And then that's the ocean. For a couple hours the other day. I cannot believe the surfers are out and it's not even sunny yet. I feel like that's kind of like what triathletes have already been out, done their run, and they're but anyway, I was thinking about dreaming. I was thinking about like how often we don't allow ourselves to go totally into the intimacy of a dream. Like, I don't know about you guys, but have you ever had goals? Well, of course, I hope you've had goals. If you're on Coffee with Shanda, you better have goals in your life. But have you ever had goals where like you were like working towards your goal? But I love all the hearts this morning, you guys. Thank you. I'm loving all the hearts and the happy faces, and I love that. Yay! Heart up. So anyway, so I was thinking about the fact that, you know, when you're working towards a goal or a dream, and you're like in the work of it, right? Like you're in the work of it, but yet, I don't know about you, but like I feel like I could dream more, right? Like, do you guys feel like you could dream more at all? Like, I mean, I do a good amount of dreaming, but like, John Astroff was here yesterday for my birthday, and he does something called a brain-a-thon on the weekend, and I remember seeing John Astroff in The Secret, and I did. I read The Secret and I watched the movie The Secret. And I remember being like totally into the law of attraction and learning it. And it's cool to see John now with his wife and how he still very much lives it. Anyway, but like we were talking about Sarah Blakely, who owns Spanx, and Jesse Itzler, her husband. And we were just talking about like how when you really believe things, like for instance, he just met them like a week ago in Newport, and I met them not too long ago, and I was telling Maria, John's wife, that I stopped going to psychics because of the fact that a psychic told me I would never meet Sarah or Joel Osteen, and that they'd never be on my path. And I had a moment where I said, you know, although that psychic was right about like many other things that I went to her with, but I actually thought to myself, and I shared this with all my friends, I said, I'm going to stop going to psychics because, not because I think psychics are horrible, but because I think our brain is so important to really focus on our dreams and working with God to create our reality. And sometimes when you go and you listen to advice, even if somebody means for the advice to be good, bad advice comes in good packages. And what I mean by that is that somebody can really influence the trajectory of your life because they give you a yes or a no, or they break apart your vision or your dream. Now let me share something. Do not shoot the messenger. Do not shoot dream killers, meaning that often people are giving you advice obviously because they think it's the right advice and good advice, and they're standing for you. So it's not about them, it's actually about you, and about you spending time dreaming, about me spending time dreaming. Like, I think the house we're in right now is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 or 13 million. In fact, look at the guy with the dog over here. See him? This black dog. Drinking his coffee. He's staying. And they're in from from, I think it's Texas. And I thought he was a homeowner because he just seemed like a homeowner. And he said, no, I've just rented this house for the last month, and my family has been, my family came down for a week, and, last night I saw him and his wife had a beautiful dinner on the patio with beautiful flowers and wine, and I thought to myself, what a beautiful way to spend time with your husband. And then I thought to myself, holy shit, how expensive that must have been to stay for a month, because these homes are, $3,000 to $5,000 a night. And I'm proud that we have been able to stay here for the Heartcore company. But again, what does that man do for a living, and how many dreams has he had come true? And so, it just got me thinking this morning, and I've been actually thinking about this for a little while. And I was doing a call with Jesse Itzler the other day, and I was talking about the fact of dreaming, and he said, Shanda, I think I just spend more time dreaming than you. But he spends 3 hours a day, every day he spends 3 hours a day. And let me tell you, he's got a busier life than probably any of us on this Facebook Live right now. How does he spend 3 hours a day with 4 kids? And it's not about nannies. I've never seen or heard about their nanny once. It's never been in their dialogue. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm sure they have help. But, Sarah takes the kids to school, or Jesse takes the kids to school. They're very hands-on, right? So how do these people do it? And Jesse said, I do spend more time dreaming than you, Shanda. And I asked Sarah Blakely, who owns Spanx, I said, do you sit and carve out time to visualize? And she said, no way. She goes, that would be too intense. She goes, I literally it's just in my daily thoughts throughout the day. I have thoughts about whatever it is that I'm creating, and she thinks about it. So, I think there's a power in influence. There's a huge power in influence. And what I mean by that is that, first of all, never think you have it. Never think you have it figured out. If you think you have it figured out, you don't have it figured out. Make sure you stay in a community of people who are thinking big, and carve out enough downtime in a day that throughout the day you could dream. So, over the last 3 days of us even being in this incredible home and being this close to the ocean, right? And meeting that man with the dog. And it's and don't get me wrong, I love my home. I love the home I'm building. And it's not even about the home or the money, but it's about the lifestyle, right? And so over the last few days, I've been sitting here just dreaming. And Ash looked at me and he goes, I think that we'll have this in the next 5 years, 4 or 5 years. And the fact that didn't scare me. Because back in the day, I would have said, I don't want that mortgage. And really where that came from is, I don't want the fear of something not working out in the future and being in a position where I can't take care of myself. And that is, that's living from a history of my family making a ton of money and then losing their money. And, and so I share all of this because we got to dream big, and we got to not be letting our dreams get squished, because we only have one life to live. And, at the end of the day, here's the one thing we all have in common. We have lots of things in common, but here's the one thing we all have in common. We're moving towards death. That is the one thing we all have in common. We are all moving towards death. And so how do you want to spend your time? Right? Personally, I know that if we're not fulfilled, if you're not fulfilled and I'm not fulfilled doing something on purpose for a living, then typically, hi. He's working for a living. But I feel like if we're not doing something that we love and living on purpose, because we spend so much of our life working, that's a huge breakdown, right? But then, when you're working your job and you're an opportunist and always chasing money and you can't stop to look up, if you don't help the people around you succeed, honestly, you're failing. You're failing. If you are just pushing really hard and you're on a sales cycle, or honestly, you're failing, and you're even kidding yourself if you're making that much of a difference, because just making a difference and just getting paid is only one aspect of it. You got to make a difference, get paid really well, and then help everybody around you succeed. your friends, the people important to you, they should be succeeding. There's only one level of leadership and success. You doing great in your own company or your own business. That's only one level. It's only one level of generosity if you help people when you have time. But when you can break the parameter of scarcity and you go so high that everybody around you wins all the time because you said so, and it's not about, like, I can conveniently refer people to my friends when I run into them. Or I could actively go out there and help people, like my friend Alex Arriaga, or, I could list a ton of people. Lynn Rose, Ash's helped John Ashraf with a bunch of stuff, that John was telling me about yesterday. Like, significant things that he's doing inside of his company and his business and for his son. It's like, if you don't actively go out there and search to help people, you're actually living in a level of scarcity that typically doesn't get things like this ridiculous. You don't change the way that you think, right? Is dream bigger. I wasn't going to do coffee with Shanda this morning. I was just going to stay in bed with my husband, but I was already up and I wanted to jump on here and just share with you my thoughts. And I'll share with you that one of the biggest blessings I've ever learned in my life is to stop using spirituality to get ahead, to stop using the law of attraction to get, and to stop just being generous to the people that I love that are in my life when I can or when they're in pain. To just be the type of leader that makes a difference all the time for everybody around me. And that has created more millions than I could ever, ever, ever tell you, and more millions for the future that it's so hard for me to be able to describe, because it's a thought process, and you don't ever access that thought process until you release selfishness, release the thought process of I don't have time, and really open up to what life can give you. And like homes like this and moments like this, my team said, people on my team said, I'm so shocked about the way that you take care of us. There was no connection to their performance and being here. There was no bonus, and I'm sure many of my clients will go off and start doing things like that because of my influence on them, and they get the idea from me. And I love that. I love that I can inspire that. And that's, inspiring generosity on another level. But I didn't do this, get this house and do this, and I hope my clients don't do this just to get more out of their team, right? None of this pencils out. It doesn't pencil out. But it just shows them that I care, and while I've been here, I've thought about, I'm not kidding you, 3 other ways that I could show them that I care and surprise them. And does that get more out of them? Sure. But there's a very big difference between going into something like this and taking care of people because you take care of them to get what you want, versus just be that type of person. So dream big, but don't just dream big for you. In the process, help everybody around you succeed. And I promise you, those old sayings and quotes about the more people you help succeed around you, the more you succeed, do not apply to just your clients. They apply to the most powerful people in your life. I hold contests and things inside my own company, and it blows my mind that everybody doesn't play, because for many of the people that I serve, I am the most influential person in their life. And I'm not saying for all of them, and I'm saying that in a humbly way. I mean the fact that people don't stop and just show up bigger than everybody else in their place because they're so busy in a scarcity mindset. Not because they don't want to give, and not because they're not amazing people. It's because they don't get it yet. The game is the more generous you get. And that's how all of this stuff happens. I swear to you, that's how it happens, because it changes the way that you think. So anyway, you'll have to test me out on this. This is why the Bible talks about this is the one area that you can test God in, and that is the area of giving. It's one thing, I was saying the other day, it's one thing to tithe. I used to tithe and tell everybody about my tithes, and I would tithe where everybody could see me. And then I started tithing like $20,000 increments to people like Joel Osteen anonymously. And then even not taking the tax credit. You want to talk about a hard give there. Just to test the element of giving without being seen. And there's just all these different layers to it, right? There's all these different layers to it. And as you break through all of them and you give on all the levels, you give on the levels of being seen, you give on the levels of not being seen, and then you give on the levels that just don't pencil at all, right? And you'll just see that God takes care of you. You'll just see that. It just happens. So here's the other thing. It's so fun. It's so fun to dream that big and to know that you matter that much, that you have to help in every area and succeed. It's so cool. Anyway, spend the rest of the day allowing yourself, maybe even like try not to be intense. Don't do it from any other area other than just curiosity, and allow yourself to dream about something you're working on right now. And what would it look like if it worked out? And then allow yourself to open up even more so, like, how many people would that help? How many people could you help if it worked out? What would you do with them? And just, like, maybe, like, ask yourself some questions. But, like, the track is such a cool morning, right? How cool is this morning? But allow yourself to keep going into the intimacy of it way past the goal. And just see what happens. So I'll play one with you right now. Imagine if over the next 6 months we bring on another 10 people into our coaching call center. And imagine if we actually just started to help, 400 people more a month that actually became clients of ours. 400 people more a month. And imagine that I could inspire those 400 people, out of those 400 people, that I could inspire like 30 millionaires out of those 400 people a month over the next 2 years. And how many people that they could help. And then imagine if I could inspire like a generous movement inside of the hardcore community, so that we actually raise a fund. And maybe and I'm just coming up with this, maybe it's a security fund for just the community. That when the community has a big dream, they could dip into the fund, and that instead of using loans or credit cards, that we would just only charge 2% to replenish the money and make a little money, so that somebody else in need in the hardcore community could go into the fund, whether they're buying a business, learning how to speak on stages for the first time, or had a transformational project in the world that they want to make a difference for. Like, imagine if there was no more, imagine if we turned around the divorces in marriage with the people in our community, where the relationship people were not in competition with each other, but they actually started working together and sharing their email list together so that they could actually work towards projects and share their knowledge and their wisdom to actually help people not get divorced, to actually help people fall in love. Imagine if we had a community that all of the medical people in our community actually started working together and pulling together and even pulling off the fund that we all start together. Do you see what I mean? Like, and you start to play with it and you're like, imagine if I could actually do that. Well, I could do that. So I'm having a breakthrough right now and I'm thinking about that. I could actually do that with some of my friends. My financial advisor advised Tony Robbins. I guarantee you I could have a meeting with him and figure out how to do something like this and talk to my clients, that they would actually get into something. Like right now, I pay a 401k into for my clients, or not my clients, my staff. I do a matching 401k where they can put in money and I put in money and I'll match their money. And imagine if there's got to be a plan like that in my community, that my community could pay into and get some, I don't know, but could get some sort of a tax defer, but also could go into that and use that money to reach more people or to have a better lifestyle. But I mean, I bet we could create a community project in the world that's like a village project, that my smart clients that were givers that would be willing to put in a certain amount of time a year could benefit from this. Like, I mean, I know we could figure this out. Could you fucking imagine what type of a community we would be if we actually all operated like that? Talk about the safety we would have just in our own lives for the rainy day, and then the bond, and then the fact that we just made a rule in my marketing mastery community that if you leave the community, you can't come back. That's a bold move. But the reason for that is we want committed people. We don't want transient people that every year think about, do I want to stay here? Do I not? We want people who keep getting stronger over the years, and I know that you keep getting stronger when you stay in one place, right? So imagine what we could do as a community if we all started listening to each other, right? And I started doing the part that I'm good at, which is making money and multiplying it massively, and my network of people, and then my clients' network of people, and what we could actually do. So imagine if in a year from now that was actually happening in Hardcore because of this Facebook Live. Because I just let myself think like that, there's probably going to be people in my community that are watching right now that are going to have some ideas around this, and either they're going to do something like that or they're going to bond with me to create something like that, because together we're stronger. So here's what I gave up a long time ago: the need to be the only leader. I gave up the need to be the only leader in the financial world with business coaching. And I partnered with everybody. And I mail for them, and I help them succeed, and I share them with my community and my clients hire them. And, so I gave up the need to carry the entire world on my shoulders. And I recommend that your dreams become very collaborative. And not collaborative with the only idea can be your idea, but the collaboration that it gets better as a team. Do you know I do nothing in Hardcore without asking my company? And my company is very influential in coming up with the ideas of making things work in my company. And everything that's created me millions has actually come from an act of service and helping somebody in my company or typically Marketing Mastery create a result that is a complete give that I did not pencil on paper, but I saw an opportunity to give bigger. So here's to us all: surfing every day, whatever vision we really want to serve, to living in a beautiful home, serving millions of people, not playing small, and not doing it alone. All right, you guys. God bless. I'll talk to you soon.